Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I think you're a little too close there. Let me move you back a little bit. So today I wanted to talk about, is it really necessary? Give me 1 second. I'm trying to think that's a little bit better. Lighting, you can see me a little better there. Is it really necessary? My brain is this chronicle of always analyzing life as we know it and the norms and the social norms and wondering if it makes sense for us as individuals. We all tend to fall victim to the narrative and the story of everything that we know based on what we've heard, what we've seen, what we've been taught by our parents, by society growing up. And one of those social norms that I wanted to talk about today is marriage and cohabitation. I'm talking about traditional man and woman, boy meets girl, boy and girl fall in love, they date, the general escalator of relationships, right? When you meet someone, the relationship gently, slowly escalates. Unless it reaches a point where someone no longer wants to continue and they get off the escalator. But does it always need to be escalating is my question. Meaning, just because you're not moving on up to the next stage that society has created for us, such as you've been dating for quite some time now, when are you gonna pop the question? Or when are you guys gonna move in? Or when are you guys gonna get married? And it's like, is all of that even really necessary? So I'm speaking from my perspective as a 40-year-old woman who has already had 2 children. I went through all of that already. I fell in love very young, and I fell in love for all the wrong reasons. I was too young to really know what I was getting myself into. I was naive, and I really thought that if someone loved me the way that I know that I'm capable of loving someone else, it will work out. No one's perfect. I know I have my flaws. Some of the things that have made me better at relationships as I've gotten older is the experience of seeing what works and what doesn't work, like everybody else, right? And one of the things that tends to really cause a lot of problems is expectations, right? But it's natural to have some form of expectation. Like when you go to work, your boss is expecting you to show up on time. Your boss is expecting you to do certain tasks. Otherwise, why would you even be there? Why would they even pay you to be there? This is why people break up. So certain expectations are to be met. With that said, it has to be within reason. If it gets to a point where it becomes unreasonable and every little thing is an issue, then you have a very tumultuous relationship. And when some people are highly disagreeable, they don't allow very much room for error when it comes to this expectation department. I wanted to touch briefly on the subject of LAT, L-A-T, living apart together. Because the notion of expecting a proposal or expecting the conversation to be had of when are we moving in together, or the notion of marriage just seems to me like you're building up this illusion. You're on this path, you're on this journey of this relationship, and you're enjoying yourself and you're waiting for a destination. What happens when that destination arrives? What happens thereafter? I mean, again, if you're young and you've never had children, then it's going to be, when are we going to have a baby? When are we going to raise our family? And so on and so forth. In those instances, yes, it's beautiful. It makes sense. Usually you're young, you don't have a lot of financial stability yet, so your plan is to build it together with your partner. But let's say you're older, like me, you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s or older, and you've already sort of built your foundation, or you're in the process of building a little bit more for yourself. Like, I'm so happy I just bought this book. I love her. She's amazing. If you don't know her, I'm sure you know her. I think it's very unwise for women to put all of their expectations for their finances to be met by a man, even if the man has all the money in the world. For example, I have a mortgage, but I wouldn't want, I mean, I am seeing someone right now, but let's say I wasn't. I wouldn't want to meet someone who is doing so much better than me financially, that he has a big house or multiple properties, because then that's going to completely change everything that I built, and I don't want that. So for them to say, well, why don't you move in with me, move into my house, you can always rent out your house. I don't want that. Like, I like my house. It took me a long time to get it the way that I want it. I like it here. But then at the same time, you see all these women online talking about how, oh, if the man is making less than you, then you should be striving for better and try to find a provider and all this stuff. That's not right either. If you have your own place and you and your partner decide to cohabitate, then maybe they can move in with you. They won't have this ego trip of like, well, why don't you just move in with me since I have more? So a man of higher financial status, someone richer, better off, is going to try to kind of like take me under his wing, and then I lose my identity. And a man of lower financial status will very likely come up under my wing, and then I become responsible for him. It creates this fear of like, well, then what's the best thing? You meet someone who's your equal, right? Well, that takes time. That takes time to establish, to see, where are we at? And in the meantime, there's no need to put pressure on the relationship as far as that relationship escalator, like where are we going? Some people are like, oh, if you've been together for 2 years and he's not proposed yet, or he hasn't even offered to live together, then move on. Why? Seriously, ask yourself the question, why? What is it that you need to get out of the relationship by moving in together? Are you seeking more financial stability? Do you want this person to help pay bills with you? Do you just miss each other so much and you're that emotionally needy that you need to wake up next to them every single day? You want to have every single meal together? I mean, there are people who are more clingy and needy and like to be near around their partner and talking to their partner more frequently. And there are people who are a lot more independent, and this does not mean that they love any less. I used to be on one end of the spectrum, and now I find myself on the other end of the spectrum. I don't know, maybe you can attribute that to maturity, time passing, already having spent a lot of time by myself. But it just seems to me I no longer feel this need and desire to cohabitate with someone, to have them wake up next to me every single day, get married. I just don't see the point of it anymore. Because once you reach that pinnacle, that peak of, let's say it's not for financial, it's better financially if we're not both paying rent and we're not both paying mortgages. We just kind of unite everything, and then that way we have more together. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But let's say it's for romance purposes. I want to have a wedding to declare to the world how much I love my partner. Okay. That is like the peak, the pinnacle of romance, your wedding day. Your dress, the flowers, your hair, his suit, tuxedo, everything is so beyond perfect and like fairy tale that you're never going to live it down. Like there's never going to be anything else that is going to meet the level of romanticness, romanticization, whatever the word is, of your wedding day. Okay, we have our anniversaries and then we have a baby. Again, I'm not talking about young couples who are still developing their family. I'm talking about older couples. If you want to get married because it makes you happy and you want to show your love to the world, then by all means go for it. But typically, there is a reason why 50% of marriages end in divorce. And there is a reason why 60% of couples who live together that are not married end up breaking up. So that little 10% gap is solely because of the fact that when you get married, there's this feeling of being really tied, really bonded, because now we'd have to get a divorce. Now we'd have to find lawyers. Now we have to do paperwork. Now we have to divide assets. It's like it's so much more of a hassle to pull it apart that it almost makes you want to work on it even more, right? Whereas if there's nothing tying you, all it is packing your stuff and finding another place to live. So it's very easy to get up and walk out, right? So then living together creates all these pressures. Let's say one partner snores and another partner's a light sleeper, and then one ends up on the couch every night, or one wakes up several times. Let's say one partner is a little bit more easygoing with the housework and they don't mind letting dishes pile up, or they don't mind that the floor's been dirty for over a week, or they don't mind that they're like, oh, I'm down to my last underwear, I guess now I should do laundry. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just saying there are different types of people. I have laundry to take care of because I do it on a weekly basis, or I make my bed literally every single day. Everybody's different, right? So when you bring these differences together in the name of love, because there is love, there is an appreciation, there's a fondness, there's a connection, there's an ability to talk, perhaps there's a great sex life. All these are the good things, but now the living together part is going to ruin all those good things. And if you're married and let's say you get along and everything is similar, we both are neat people and we both, have a lot of ways of living in common. Both of us are quiet sleepers, or both of us are heavy sleepers, or whatever the case may be. I mean, sometimes the passion can be killed in the same sense because there's so much similarity and there's not enough friction there to create any sort of missing one another. This whole notion of living apart together sounds more and more appealing to me the more and more I ponder on it. You still get to keep this relationship the way that it's been, the way that it's been going. Have you ever heard of stories where people will have been dating for 10 years and then they get married or they move in and within 1 year they break up? I know a couple who were together for 10 years. They bought a house together. And about 3 years later, they broke up, sold the house, went their separate ways. After 10 years, everything was going well. What happened? I don't believe that it is, well, there was always all these underlying issues and they just never really addressed it until they lived together. No, I just think that it is very natural and normal and human to have a certain healthy level of distance from your romantic partner. Think about it. Think about human beings in primitive civilizations. Let's date back to caveman times, right? There's not a whole lot of intelligence there. It's all survival. And the caveman was the wanderer out there hunting, gathering, bashing women over the head, trying to spread his seed. And when the women get pregnant, they are home and they are pregnant and they are nursing and they're taking care of their baby. And hopefully their caveman comes back with some meat and makes sure that she gets well fed so she can keep living and keep taking care of this baby. But that doesn't stop him from going back out there to get more adventures, from going back out there and getting some more women pregnant. This is the natural way. Now, fast forward a little bit to more like tribal eras where women got together and stayed home and raised their children and helped each other in a very societal kind of way. Whereas men, even young boys, were dragged out into the wilderness by men and left out there to see if they survive. And this was their rite of passage, to test their strength, to show them what it is to be a man. And they're just very much wanderers. So, and women work together. So it's not really the dad and mom, husband and wife, and children in the house. This is why you find these issues where the dad's getting bored and he doesn't want to be on the floor playing with the baby, and then the mom gets annoyed and aggravated with her husband because he's not spending quality time with his family, and he'd rather be outside on the balcony smoking a cigar. He'd rather go visit the pool room and say hi to his friends, and mom's at home all by herself with her baby, feeling like her husband is not valuing the family. And it's because it's not really meant to be this way. It's not to say that men can't be loving, good fathers, but women usually raise the babies together. You have the grandmother, the matriarch of the family, you have the aunties, you have the sisters, and then the cousins, and then all the kids, everybody together, right? And the men will never stop doing what it is that they love to do. If their thing is to go play golf on the weekend, or go meet up at a certain bar to watch a football game every week, or to play pool, or to, get together with their buddies and listen to some records and do some like music conversations, or to gig together, or to play in a band, whatever it is that their thing is, Rarely do you see a man that will cut out his thing in life or stop doing it altogether to be there for the family all the time. They will always need that time to step away from that family circle, from being a father, from being a husband, to go explore and do their thing. I am a bit feminist in the sense that I know what I feel as a human being. And I can't sit here and tell you that my dream is to be home with grandmas and aunties and moms and sisters and raise babies and bake and knit all day long. That is what society put in our minds. When we were little, we played with Barbie dolls, we had tea sets. As I've gotten older, I have my own senses of adventure. There are things that I like to do. Sometimes there are domesticated things in the house, but I like to do them alone. I like my alone time. I don't like having too many people in my space, in my face all the time. So if my partner wants to go and do his thing, I am encouraging of it because I kind of want my alone time here. Or if I do want to spend some time with a girlfriend, or if there's hobbies and interests, I have had them in the past. What is holding me back right now is this economic downturn that we're facing, this inflation. I've had to cut back on some of the things that I enjoy, such as Pilates classes, for example, because they're very expensive and I currently can't afford it. Just leaving your house is going to cost you $100. So doing anything is very difficult to afford. I enjoy adventure. So I drive around in my car all the time. I live in the city of Miami, Florida, but I live down in the suburbs, very west. I know that downtown Miami is becoming like New York City. I visited it recently because I needed to go to one of the malls there for something. My phone needed to be repaired, and that was the nearest one to my job, and I was like, wow, this is so different. This feels like I'm in a whole other place. And one of my passions in life is to travel. I love to explore new places. So it may not be a specific hobby like darts or pool or playing in a band or whatever, but just exploring. Even if I don't spend a dime, walking around, looking around at architecture and lighting and music and just seeing the way things are set up for people. Sights, the sounds, the smells, the experience of the stimulation. But on that same token, I can very quickly become overstimulated and say, okay, I'm ready to go home. This is when I enjoy my alone time at home, right? So when we went out for New Year's Eve, I said, let's do something cool and interesting and different. We've never ridden the metro rail before. I've ridden it as a kid, but I don't think my children ever have. So I parked at the Dadeland station and we rode the metro rail all the way to Brickell City Center. And I wanted to show my girls this beautiful mall, and they had their little Christmas money to spend. They bought themselves some boba tea, and we walked around the mall and we saw these beautiful sights of like the buildings. And even my youngest daughter, sorry, I don't know why when I film I always feel like there's something in my eye. Ugh. Anyway. My youngest daughter, I caught her like taking pictures of the scenery, of the beautiful cityscape and the buildings and the sun setting and all that. And it was just nice to be out and to see them being out and exploring a new place. And then from there we hopped on the Metro Mover and we went from there to Bayside, to Bayfront Park, to the Bayside Marketplace, and we walked around down there. We ate some food, and they got a little tired because, you know, I mean, they're relatively young and they just wanted to be back home, and we didn't stay out till midnight. But the point is that these sorts of adventures that men are typically known for having to have, whether it's their baseball or their football game on the weekends, or going to their local bar, or playing pool, or golfing, or whatever their hobby is, women have it too. We have it too. We have our passions, our needs, our desires, and we also have our need for recuperating. You know, we're a little bit more sensitive. We are biologically, look it up, I'm not making this up, women are a little bit more neurotic. Essentially meaning that our brain and our neurons are way more like wired, like everything is connected, whereas men can like compartmentalize things and like, I'm not going to worry about this right now I'm focused on this, and right now I'm going to focus on that, and it's like one thing at a time, whereas for us everything is mixed together. So just as much as we enjoy adventure, we also need to disconnect and have time for ourselves, right? So this is where that self-care comes from. I'm going to give myself a bubble bath and a facial, I'm going to do a mask, and I'm going to get my nails done and all this sort of stuff. The notion of like, well, you know, I should be home raising my babies with my family while my husband gets to go out and have his fun adventures. That doesn't work. At least not in today's society, because there's no need for it anymore. Women now have jobs like men do, and women make money, and women buy houses and cars and have credit cards and bank accounts. And I really think that women in general need to be more like men in the aspect of learning how to grow their money, learning how to invest, learning how to make sound financial decisions so that they can be responsible for themselves, versus I spend all my money on my beauty treatments. I do my lashes, I do my nails, I do my hair, I do my Pilates, I get cellulite treatments, and I'm broke, and I'm hoping that my beauty will buy me a man who will then secure my future. That is the wrong way to go about things. Each individual adult should be responsible for their own finances and securing their own future, because to put that burden on another person, even if it's your children, to think of, well, one day when I'm old, my kids will take care of me, that is selfish, because these kids are going to have a harder time than we did. As we can tell, the way we live at least in this country, it's getting harder and harder to survive. Okay, the gap, the space between, you know, what it is to purchase a house and what it is to actually earn income is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There are more multi-generational family members living in the same household than ever before. And so why would I want to put that burden on my kids? And typically your parents prepare you for some sort of future, but not all parents can or do. Some parents don't have the financial means, some parents are immigrants. So some of us are stuck trying to make it on our own. And this is why, for me, learning about investment and retirement and you know, all these kinds of financial literacy, financial independent ways and tactics. I'm investing into my 401k at work. It's a Roth 401k. I have a regular Roth. I do have a small stock account. And I have my rollover IRA, which is all my pre-taxed 401k money from my previous jobs, which ideally you would want to slowly start converting them to Roth. Pay taxes on a little bit at a time and convert it, and pay taxes and convert it. Because if you leave it there tax-free, many years go by and then you go to use it, you're going to get taxed on it in the future. And just think, are taxes going to be cheaper or more expensive in the future? So, but it's not easy to do that, because each time you roll a little amount into, you know, each time you try to take that money from that account that will be taxed in the future and put it into the account that should be taxed now, you got to pay those taxes now. So it makes it hard, because it's like, well, there's a whole bunch of other things that I got to pay for right now. You know, there's a lot of other expenses that I'm dealing with. So these are all things and goals that are always on my mind, that I know I have to worry about, that I know I have to think about, that I know I have to plan for and be strategic and figure out how I'm going to do, but one thing at a time. One thing at a time. I am on my current paying off debt section of my life, and I am getting there very soon. I'm very excited for 2024, because I know that once that is freed up, the income that is being allocated to paying those debts will now be allocated to other things. Back to the point of the whole living apart together situation. If we are adults, us women, just like men are, we're not seen like children anymore, like how we used to be in the olden times, where we weren't allowed to open a credit card, open a bank account, you know, take out a loan, buy a car without a man. Things are different. That means that on a socioeconomic status, on a socioeconomic level, we are equals in that sense. Now, domestically, is it equal? Not necessarily, because my boyfriend can go out to my backyard with a chainsaw and chop down a tree. I can't even begin to pretend, nor would I want to ever do something like that. So it's just, I don't have that kind of physical strength or bravery to operate such machinery. Now, do I have the ability to do other things in the house, beautify certain things or make things in a certain way that he can't? Yeah. So this doesn't mean that we should be molded into roles. This just means that we should be embracing our strengths, and whatever weaknesses we may have, it's okay to have your partner help you out in life with those weaknesses, right? So we love one another, we help one another, and we try to help each other thrive. But at the same time, no one is responsible for you. You are not anyone else's responsibility but your own. With that said, once you start cohabitating, it becomes very easy to fall into a codependent sort of dance where you start falling into these, you know, roles and gender roles or character roles or whatever, what have you. This is where you start losing yourself because you're like, man, if it was me by myself, for example, I'd be fine having like a sandwich for dinner, but I gotta make a meal because my husband's here, my partner, my boyfriend, and he's expecting a meal. Or it's just, it starts to get to a point where you start losing who you are. And when you're losing who you are and you're not able to move freely and do things at your pace, the way that you like, you start to lose that spark, that happiness. And then you start looking at your partner as you're the reason. You're the reason why I can't sleep until this time because you're always up early making noise, or I can't get enough sleep because you move around a lot at night, or you're snoring, or whatever the case may be. I'm worrying laid up all night because you're still out, and you know, when are you gonna get here? If you live apart, none of that is an issue. You know, oh, I've been doing all the cleaning and all the dishes and all that, and you can't even take out the trash. If you live apart, he's responsible for his own trash. If his trash piles up from here to next Tuesday, that's his problem. And if you take out your trash every 30 minutes, that's on you. If they get annoyed with you because you're up every 20, 30 minutes to do some sort of house chore, that can't happen when you don't live together. Because when you come together, like they visit you, you visit them, they sleep over a night or two, you sleep over a night or two, it's like having your best friend over. It's like having a guest. But this is your partner, this is your lover, this is your person. And so that beautiful relationship maintains itself because it is in a healthy, balanced state. It doesn't ever become unbalanced because there's enough space, time, room for individuality, for individual growth, for individual rest, relaxation, work, whatever mode that you're in. Let's say you want to rest and relax and watch a movie and your partner's there like working really hard because he's like in work mode and he's annoyed because your movie's too loud, or these are all things that I've already lived, and so has my partner. You know, and you think, well, maybe if I meet a different partner, it'll be better because that partner, you know, will understand me more. Or this person is a little more agreeable than this person. Or this person is, you know, more considerate than that person. Yes, those are all varying factors that are taken into accountability when you consider, you know, the right person for you. But I think no matter how much you love each other, no matter how much compatibility there may be, when you live together, there will always be friction. And those friction, it depends on the personalities, but some people have a hard time letting them go. Sometimes they don't forget it, or things compound because you're not solving one problem before the next problem arises, and so on and so forth. Next thing you know, you're breaking up and you're moving out, and the whole beautiful relationship has completely dissolved. So this is part of the reason of my fear that I'm going through right now. And I don't want to call it a fear because it's not something that is like, it's paralyzing me from doing it, because it's more of a decision. It's more of a logical, of sound mind choice based on what information I have at my disposal currently, based on where I am at my life currently and how I feel. Not everybody may feel this way. Some people are like, you're freaking nuts, you're crazy, I can't wait to get married. I feel like women create an illusion of what marriage is because they want that big, beautiful diamond ring, you know? Or they want to wear that gorgeous white gown and have everybody look at them. It's all about this validation of, I'm a queen, I'm a princess, love me. I get it. That was me. Who doesn't want a big, beautiful diamond ring? Like, but now think about what comes with that. Right? Now comes the marriage. That wedding is over. Okay? So if you want to, you know, renew your vows, or you want to take an extravagant 1-year anniversary trip, or you want to do, you know, photos again for your 10 years, these are all expensive things. And what we women tend to be drawn to are things that put the spotlight on us to make us feel special. And we revolve it around the notion of being with a man, of having a husband, of having a family. When you can feel that way without going broke, without breaking the bank, without spending so much ridiculous money, you can take your own beautiful photographs and make it into a hobby, and, you know, get a camera and like take your own pictures. And there's so many ways of enjoying and celebrating yourself, your life, and your love that don't have to be related to living together or being married. Vacations and trips are my passion, and I would go on a million vacations with my partner if we can do it harmoniously, if we can come to agreements, if we can like both participate, partake, put in money into whatever is necessary in order to make this happen, and if we enjoy each other's time and each other's company and we're not fighting and arguing about what to do. I feel like when you live together, all the issues that happen under that roof are being brought into everything. It's being brought into the trip. It's being brought into the children. It's being brought into everything. And it's just too messy. It's too jumbly. I don't think human beings are meant to be this intertwined. Elephants, when they have a baby, the mother elephant, after some time, the male becomes aggressive towards the female because she's now more focused on raising the baby and not so much focused on pleasuring her mate. So instead of him wanting to wander off and find another mate, he wants to stick around with her, but she's not giving him the attention. So then there's aggression. And in order to defend her baby, she kicks out the male. And then the males pretty much are on their own, and the elephant females are with the babies. And these are not uncommon patterns to find in nature. Yes, okay, there's always the whole, well, penguins mate for life and all this stuff. I understand all that. But what I'm getting is that, is it really necessary? Like, is it necessary for you to be happy in your relationship, to feel a sense of fulfillment and contentment? Do you have to always be worrying and wondering and analyzing and thinking about the timeline, the escalator, the level, where are we at, what's the next step, when are we gonna move in, why are you so eager to get there? When one of the biggest things that we're taught in life is that it's not about the destination, it is about the journey. If you are enjoying where you are at this moment, if you're enjoying having your own space and doing what you please, how you please, when you please, in your own space, and then you talk to your partner and you have a beautiful conversation and you have fun and you make each other laugh, or they come over or you go over or you guys go out together and you enjoy the time together, and then you go and you do your own thing. I'm not so much of an extrovert. I'm not so much of a going out person. Sometimes I do crave the occasional adventure, which is why I went to Tennessee, which is why I went out for New Year's Eve, rather than staying home doing nothing. To me, that would have been quite depressing. But there are times where I want to be home reading a book, cozy and comfortable, or watching a show or watching a movie or just doing my housework. It makes me feel happy, makes me feel calm. I like to take care of my things. I like to tend to my things, whether it's my plant or cleaning my back terrace or cleaning my house, whatever the case may be. And then I get bored and I'm like lonely and it's too quiet and I want to do something fun. So it's like I can always go out and do something fun on my own, or I can always go out and do something fun with my boyfriend. But I don't feel like I'm being deprived of anything. And I just wish that more women would start to embrace where they are at their life and be happy with it without holding their partner to such a high standard of expectation and applying so much pressure on that relationship progressing to the next level. And it's sad when you think about how it's more often than not, it's women who are propelling this, pushing this notion of like commitment. Because here's the thing, just because we don't live together, just because I don't foresee a future of living together or getting married, doesn't mean that we're not loyal to one another. Like, he's not out there seeing other women, I'm not out there seeing other men, because when we are together, we very much enjoy it. Now, do we get to be together frequently, often? No, because we don't live together. And us women, we have our cycles, and sometimes it just, we both have kids, or at least his kids are a little bit bigger, and his youngest is currently living with the mother, which is a little bit farther away, but my kids are still of age where I do have to take care of them, take them to school and feed them, and I share 50-50 custody. So if one week I have my children, you know, he's not going to be coming over, we're not going to be doing our thing, you know, and then let's say the next week I don't have my children, but now I'm on my cycle and I'm having cramps and I'm not feeling great, we're not going to be doing our thing. So you kind of have to plan it out a little bit, map it out, be like, look, that weekend coming up, that's gonna be a great weekend, I'm gonna feel great, I don't have the kids, let's go out on a date, let's make it all about you and me. And it's exciting. You don't lose that thrill and that excitement and that momentum of like that, the happiness of the relationship. And then when it kind of slows down, the momentum slows down because you back off for a little while and they're doing their thing and they're working and they're spending time with their friends and doing their things and you're doing your thing. That's the time to like nurture the self. And it allows for you to miss one another so that when you contact each other again and you plan to see each other again, it's a good time all over again. And always, it just never fails. I see so many couples who are together for such a long time and the minute that they live together or the minute that they get married, they're miserable. And this is what I don't want to have happen. Because to be honest, it is very rare to find someone that you genuinely, truly enjoy their company and can make you laugh and you have things in common and you can have conversations and talk and be yourself and not feel judged and criticized. But once you make that person a burden, a responsibility that you need to take care of, such as a husband and wife, this all came from the idea that, you know, we live in a world where, you know, who's going to take care of us if not each other? Like, we're going to be growing old and I'm going to take care of you and you're going to take care of me. Listen, somehow, some way we'll figure it out. We'll be okay. But we need to each be responsible for ourselves. We need to each be in charge of our finances, in charge of our retirement funds, in charge of our investments, because where are we going to live? What are we going to do in the future? You have to take care of the future you, not just the you that's here now today. Because if you marry and you live together and you didn't do your part, now you're a burden on your spouse or your partner. Now that person has to carry not only their own weight, but yours as well. And so it's rather selfish. And this can come from either partner. A lot of women expect their man to carry their weight. And there are some men who, you know, try to like move in on women and just live off of their resources and expect to one day be carried by that woman while she's busting her butt working. And these are just things that, to me, are relationship killers. They're passion killers, they're friendship killers. And the best way to love someone else is to not put that burden on them, is to love yourself enough and take care of yourself enough so that you don't add that excess weight onto the other person. So being angry or upset because he's spending time with his friends, you know what? Then go spend time with your friends. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my thing. Simple as that. You know, or I want to see you, when can we hang out together? Okay, we make a plan to see each other on a specific weekend and we do stuff together, then we focus on one another. You know, it's not these games of, well, since you were with your friends last weekend, now I'm going to be with my friends this weekend. Like, that's immaturity. You know, just go ahead with the flow of life and whatever's being presented to you. If you don't feel like seeing him, for example, because you're not feeling good or you need time for yourself or you would rather spend the time with a friend of yours that you haven't seen in a long time, if you communicate it and that person is understanding and that person's not needy, clingy, or codependent, they will get it. And they won't go out and cheat on you or like see other people behind your back. They'll just take care of themselves during that time. They'll spend time with their friends or their relatives or on their own, fulfilling themselves, reading their books, working on their business, you know, doing whatever they need to do to take care of themselves. But when you have individuals who, when they don't get enough attention from their partner, the first thing they do is run out and try to like get attention from other people of the opposite sex, that is the most insecure person on the planet. That means that they do not find any sense of happiness, gratification, satisfaction in spending time with themselves. Like if I'm home alone, I have countless books to read. I got so many books over there that I haven't read. Some of them I've read halfway. There's so much personal growth that I could be doing. Making this video right now is me doing something with my time. Because I do like to talk, I do like to share information, I do like to engage with people, and I wanted to create a channel and I wanted to put content out there and be part of the whole, you know, social media movement, and you never know if someday in the future it can, you know, become monetized and become another stream of income, which is important. It's important. We're moving into a future era where digitized forms of income, you know, doing something online, some sort of online business is going to be the way of the future. Very few jobs are going to remain that are physical, that you need to be present for and show up for. And it's quite scary to think the path that the future is going down. But anyway, I think it's time for me to wrap up this video. We are a little past 40 minutes, and I guess we'll pick it up on another day. If there's anything else, if there's any comments, any curiosities, any questions, please be kind. Please don't be rude. If you have an opinion, there's no need to be snippy about it. Be a bigger, better person. You know, leave your comment, leave your question, tell me about your experience, tell me about your opinion. If you like this content, please give it a thumbs up. All it takes is one little boop, a little tap of a button. If you want to see me showing up on your feed more frequently, just go ahead and subscribe. You know, if you want to find out whenever I've released a new video, just hit that notification bell and you will be informed. So thank you very much, you guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next one.